This year, I'm on a mission to simplify our holidays and really get back to the basics of what it means to create joy this time of year. This craving for an old fashioned Christmas, I think, is because I now have a small child. And what I know for sure is that in 20 years, she will not remember a single toy she got for Christmas. But she will remember our favorite recipes and making holiday crafts and memories together. Creating a sense of holiday magic in your home doesn't mean you need to redecorate your entire house. This time of year, I really enjoy weaving simple, festive recipes into our daily meals so that it feels special and festive, but it doesn't cost extra money or require extra work. Here, I am making a really beautiful and delicious cranberry salsa. This recipe will be available soon over on my blog at moonandmagnolia.com, but in the meantime, it is 1 bag of fresh cranberries, about 3/4 cup of sugar, 1 bunch of cilantro, 1 bunch of green onions, 1 or 2 jalapenos or more if you prefer extra spicy, 2 limes juiced, and a pinch of salt. And you simply just do a rough chop of all of those ingredients and throw them right into your food processor. And those red and green ingredients like that are so beautiful and festive, it almost feels like a shame to process them. But the real secret to this recipe is once you process everything in your food processor, put it in a bowl or a jar and refrigerate it for at least 24 hours. The color of the salsa and the flavor will change dramatically over the course of 24 hours. So you can see here, it almost looks brown and it'll taste really bitter still at this point. But if you let it sit for a while, those flavors start to meld and the red from the cranberries really starts to come through. So you can see here, this is the same salsa, but a couple days later, and it looks totally different. This is delicious on top of cream cheese with some crackers. We enjoy it with tortilla chips. Hear me out on this one. I really think it'd be good on a burger. I haven't tried it yet, but I'm pretty sure it would be really good on a cheeseburger too. And what I really like about easy holiday recipes like this that you can just weave into your day to day this time of year is that it makes your home feel warm and welcome and festive for you and your family. My daughter and I are decorating the house this year with handmade decorations and ornaments, and we are doing a borax crystallization experiment slash craft. It's kind of like half craft, half science experiment. So to do this, I tried a number of different ways, and the only way that really worked was to boil 1.5 cups of borax to 4 cups of water, and I did, I think, a triple batch of that. And then once the water was cool enough, I am placing some pine cones and sticks that we found outside in that water. Some of them I kind of hanged in there with some thread. The others I just put in the bottom and I let them sit in that for 24 hours. And you can see it was so simple and so beautiful. It crystallized beautifully on all of our findings from outside. And we are using this for some easy holiday decorations around the house. The pine cones and sticks that I just let float in there or sink to the bottom did better than the ones that I attached to the baker's twine. It's worth experimenting, and I've heard different things work for different people, but for us, that's what worked the best. Another recipe we are enjoying right now as we head into the holidays is fresh milled dinner rolls. This recipe is available over on my blog at moonandmagnolia.com. I will leave a link for that in the description box. But the reason why I like to make dinner rolls this time of year is because I almost never make them. Even though I bake my own bread all of the time, dinner rolls always just feel like something that you find on the holiday table. So rather than making my regular sandwich bread, for example, I make these rolls and it just feels special for my family. These rolls are 100% whole grain, and usually I make all of my bread with sourdough starter, but I'm actually making these rolls with active dry yeast, which might be a shocker for those of you who have been watching my videos for a while on YouTube. But I'm doing that for a couple of reasons. One, this time of year, I'm just really busy, and if I need something really fast, active dry yeast will do that. There is a time and place for the slowness of sourdough, and there is the time and place for the speed of active dry yeast. And right now, I just need these rolls on the table quickly. From start to finish, they were done in about 2.5 hours. But the other part of this is when you're making sourdough with fresh milled flour, it can taste really sour because it's slow. The longer that dough takes to ferment, the more sour it tastes. So by using active dry yeast, it's a much more mild flavor that's palatable, especially if you have little kids or picky eaters. But I think what is important to note here when we're talking about creating a handmade holiday or special holiday recipes is that I'm not reinventing the wheel. Sometimes I log on to Instagram and I see all these really amazing recipes and all these incredible craft ideas, and it gives me tremendous anxiety because I want to do those things, but I have to completely restock my refrigerator to make those recipes, or I need to buy a whole new craft box and stock a whole craft room to be able to do those crafts. But by just transforming the recipes I already know and using the skills I already have, it is much easier to simplify our holidays and to enjoy these days at home together. Of course, decorating the Christmas tree is the pinnacle event of the holiday season, and every year we do some sort of craft for decorating the tree. When my daughter was really little, I just bought little wood ornaments and she colored them with markers. Last year we did salt dough ornaments. This year we are making a popcorn garland. So it's really fun to see how those handmade crafts and ornaments evolve over the years. And so far, I think this might have been one of my favorites because it was really fun to do together as a family. So I just bought some cheap popcorn from the grocery store, popped it in our air popper, and as a family, we made a popcorn garland for the tree. So I used regular sewing thread, but I doubled it over so it was a little bit stronger, and then just a plain old needle that I had from an embroidery kit, and we just ran it right through the popcorn. As the popcorn got more stale, it was easier to thread, so that's just something to keep in mind. And rather than doing one big garland, we did a number of short garlands and then just sort of wrapped it around the front of the tree like a horseshoe. So that way we just didn't have to make so much popcorn garland to go around the tree. I recently listened to the book Having People Over by Chelsea Fagan, which was very good, and I will leave a link for that in the description box. I definitely recommend it. And one of the things she talks about in that is that we just don't have to redecorate our home all of the time for every single season and holiday. Now, if home decor is your thing and it gives you life, then by all means decorate your house as much as you want. But this year, I'm trying to do a little bit less and just do a little bit at a time until it feels right. Last year, I put command hooks on the back of my cabinet doors, and then I looped some string around a wreath and then just draped it over the front of the doors so that way I could have wreaths on my cabinets, and it worked out great. I kept those hooks on there and I kept all of the string on the wreaths so that way this year all I had to do was just pop them in place. So if possible, I really encourage you to find ways to decorate this year that can save you time next year. So that way it doesn't feel like you have to redecorate your entire home. You can just take out your holiday items, put them up really easily, and the job is done. This year, the only holiday items I purchased for decorating were new ornaments for our tree, just the regular old balls that you put on the tree because we only had glass breakable ones. So I wanted to switch them out with something shatterproof. Everything else that I'm using this year is from years past or something we are making handmade like this paper chain. As we have downtime, my daughter and I are just making paper chains and hanging them around the house. The one thing I will say about this paper chain, I wish I would have gotten paper that was a little brighter so you could see it against our molding better, but really that's not that big of a deal. It's more about something that we are doing together, and she's been having a lot of fun doing it. I think that would look really pretty with some garland above the paper chain. I might have some garland stashed somewhere, but either way, I think it'll be completely fine. The nostalgia of it all is sweet enough. Now, I know I just said you don't need to redecorate your house or overhaul everything to enjoy the holidays, but I do have Christmas dishes that I really love. My mother-in-law bought these for me at a thrift store last year. We got them on a great deal. They're super trendy right now. I did not know when we got them that cottagecore and grandma core would be all the rage this year. So it turns out, I guess I was just ahead of the times. But what I really like about these Christmas dishes is that we use them day in and day out, and every meal and every snack has some sort of holiday vibe because we're enjoying it on these dishes. Here I am making a homemade peppermint mocha creamer. One of my guilty pleasures in life is the peppermint mocha creamer that you can get in the grocery store, but I don't want to buy any this year. It has a lot of weird stuff in it. It's also really expensive, so I'm trying my hand at making my own. In a small heavy bottom saucepan, I am combining a half a cup of sugar and 2 tablespoons of cocoa powder, and then about a half a cup of water. And I'm just mixing that up and letting it warm until the sugar is dissolved and the cocoa powders combined. And then I'm adding in a little bit of homemade vanilla and then about a half a teaspoon of peppermint extract. And then I'm just letting that cool in the jar for a few minutes before I pour in a half a cup of whole milk and half a cup of heavy cream. But you could use all milk, all cream, half and half, whatever it is that you prefer in your coffee creamer. Over on my blog, I also have a brown sugar and vanilla coffee creamer recipe that is very delicious too. But what I really like about making homemade creamers is that one, you can control the ingredients and the flavors that go into it, but also it is such a simple way to elevate your holidays and to elevate your morning. I know it might seem unnecessary, but I really like to put that peppermint mocha creamer in this little ceramic creamer dish, even though it's just for my husband and me, but it makes the morning feel special. I just put enough creamer in it for our 2 cups of coffee in the morning, and then I put it right in the dishwasher, so it ends up being almost no extra work, but still feels really festive. The holiday home doesn't always have to be festive. Sure, you can hang wreaths and decorate trees and make paper chains. Those are fun and they're sweet, but also just cultivating a sense of coziness brings warmth and welcome into your home, even if it's just for you and your family around the dinner table. So this time of year, I try to keep really warm and hearty and cozy foods going. Here I am making a really delicious butternut squash soup. This recipe is adapted from Vivian Howard's cookbook. This will make it taste good. That's an excellent cookbook. I will leave a link for it in the description box, but I've simplified it a little bit just to make it easier for batch meal prep and also for busy days. So first I have a butternut squash roasting in the oven, and now I've chopped up some leeks and I have them soaking in a bowl of water. The way leeks grow, they pick up a lot of dirt along the way, so there's a lot of dirt trapped in them. So soak them in water for about an hour before you use them, and then I'll show you how to get rid of that dirt before you cook them. Now I am just sauteing a little bit of butter and onions in my Dutch oven, adding some salt and pepper to taste. And then really this recipe I think tastes best with ginger and nutmeg, but if there's even just a granule of nutmeg in anything, my husband and daughter will not eat it. So I skipped the nutmeg. I'm pouring in a little bit of chicken broth and deglazing that pan. That's really important. Scraping up those brown bits adds flavor. And now I'm just adding in that butternut squash. If it's roasted well, you'll be able to peel that skin right off. It's super easy. And then just put it right into the soup and let it simmer for about 20 or 30 minutes or so. Now for those leeks, first you just have to lift them out of the water. Do not dump them out, or all that dirt you see here on the bottom of the bowl will get back onto the leeks. So just use your hand or a slotted spoon to lift them out of the water. And now I am just cooking them in a little bit of butter with some salt and pepper. And then I'm adding about a quarter cup or so of apple cider vinegar and some maple syrup and finishing them up in that. Once the soup is finished simmering, I'm just taking an immersion blender and blending it up until it's smooth, which does not take very long. And then I'm serving this soup topped with some of those leeks. For me, the more leeks, the merrier. I just load them up in my bowl. They are delicious, but you can serve them with as many or as few as you want. This is the kind of recipe where everyone in the house starts gathering into the kitchen to find out what smells so good. The butternut squash in the warm oven smells good. The leeks cooking smell amazing. The spices in the soup smell good. And so every time I make this, everyone starts gathering into the kitchen to find out what it is that I'm making. And that's just the type of recipe I'm looking for really all the time, but especially at the holidays. In addition to creating a handmade holiday home this Christmas, I'm also focusing on making things for others. My daughter and I are going to bake cookies and put them in tins and take them to our neighbors and friends and family. And here I am making a sourdough babka wreath for my family because we are headed out of town to visit them. I'm going to take this with us. I actually showed how to make this and package this and a lot of other sourdough recipes on a recent YouTube video. I will leave a link for that in the description box below because gifting sourdough is a great way to gift something that someone will love and also that's fun to make. But in this case, I am making basically a brioche dough and then letting it ferment for most of the day. And just going back to what I was saying earlier about the difference between sourdough and active yeast, for instance, is that the slowness of sourdough can sometimes be helpful because on this day, I just didn't have the time to be in my kitchen for 2 hours to deal with the fast rising dough. So I was able to just let it do its thing for many hours. I think it sat out for about 12 hours. Here, I am making the chocolate filling for this. It's a combination of chocolate chips, cocoa powder, and butter. And now I'm just rolling out that dough into two long rectangles and spreading that chocolate on each of the rectangles. I go into more detail about how to do this in that other YouTube video. Again, I'll link that in the description box. But what I really want to emphasize here is that the things that we make in our home can be shared with others, and people love that. Even if you aren't bringing people into your home, if you aren't hosting this holiday season, by making something for someone else, you're sharing a piece of your home, you're sharing a piece of your skills and your interest with other people. And that is so meaningful. That babka, I just do a simple braid. It's just a 2-strand braid and then shape into a wreath and bake at 375 for about 25 minutes. These are just some of the ways that we are enjoying a really simplified approach to a handmade holiday at home. I hope that you are off to a beautiful holiday season and that these ideas have inspired you, and I will see you again next time.